Hi students, this is Nazma Sultana Sheikh, Assistant Professor, Vignan University. I am going to deal with the subject human-computer interaction. In that human-computer interaction, we are going to see the unit 1, which is Introduction to User Interface. Our unit 1 is Introduction to User Interface. Already in the last session, we are gone with the topic of what is human-computer interaction, what are the goals of human-computer interaction, what are the short-term goals and what are the long-term goals, and what are the objectives of this subject, okay? What are the objectives and outcomes of this particular subject. In this session, we are going to see with the introduction of user interface. In this particular unit, we are going with the topics of defining the user interface. Nothing but what is user interface and what is the importance of good design. Okay, what is the importance of good design, and next benefits of good design, and then graphical user interface followed with web user interface, and then merging of graphical business systems and the web. The final one is principles of user interface design. Okay. In this user interface design, we are going to learn about these topics, that is defining the user interface, defining of user interface and the importance of good design. What are the importance of good design? Why should we choose good design? What is the impact of good design on the users of a particular computer? And next, benefits of good design. What makes the difference of good design and bad design? What are the benefits behind the good design? And next, we are going to see the graphical user interface. What is the importance of graphical user interface in human-computer interaction? After that, web user interface, and then merging of graphical business systems and the web. And the final one is principles of interface design. What are the principles we have to consider or we have to learn while designing a particular interface? Okay. These are the topics which we are going to learn in this particular unit, that is user interface. Okay. What is our first unit? That is introduction to user interface. See, defining the user interface. What is an user interface? Human-computer interaction is alternatively called as the alternative names, alternatively available with different headlines is man-machine interaction, computer-human interaction. Okay, the different names for human-computer interaction or man-machine interaction and computer-human interaction. Okay, is a study of interaction between the people, nothing but the users of the computer and the computers. Okay, what do you mean by HCI? HCI is defined as the study of interaction between the people, nothing but the users of the computer and the computers. Okay, now we are going to see the interaction between the users of the computer and the system, how the particular user is going to interact with this particular system. Okay, this is nothing but human computer interaction. Okay, and if you move on to the next one, that is why should we go for good design? Okay, why should we go for design? See here, with today's technology and tools, okay, with today's technology, with today's sophisticated technology and tools, our motivation to create a really effective and usable interfaces. We are going to design a really effective and usable interfaces on screens. Why? Because we are going to design this effective and usable interfaces and screens or nothing but we are going to interact with the computer with the help of screen. We are not going inside the computer and we are not going to do with the things inside. Okay, we are interacting with the computer with the help of these interfaces and screens. So, Our motivation is to create a really effective and usable interfaces on screens. Then why do we continue to produce the systems that are inefficient and confusing or at worst and just plain unusable? Okay. Here the question is, even though we are having this much advanced technology in today's technology and tools, why we are continuing to produce the systems that are inefficient, okay, which are not interactive and confusing, okay. The user has to spend so much time to deal with the things. Nothing but the user is going to be confusing with these things and at worst just plain unusable. Why we are all doing this? This is the question for you. Then you may have the different answers for that. It is because we don't care. We are not caring about the design. And the second one, we don't possess common sense. Okay. Here the interface itself is a screen. Why we are not spending that much time while designing that screens? We should not have any common sense, or we are not spending that much time, or we are not caring at all. We don't have the time. Or there may be a chance that we still don't know what really makes the good design. Okay. If your answer is we still don't know what really makes the good design, then the answer for your question is this particular subject, that is HCI. Here the importance of HCI is to design a well-developed, well-efficient and sophisticated screens, okay, that makes a user helpful and user interactive screens, okay. See here, why HCI is important? What is the importance of human-computer interaction? The user-centered design is getting a crucial role. Here, the user-centered design is getting the crucial role. Why? Because the user is going to use the computer. So, he should understand how to use that particular computer. So, what knowledge that particular user is going to possess, what he has, okay, and how he has to interact with that. It is getting more important today to increase the competitiveness via HCI studies, okay. Here, the user-centered design is getting more crucial role and it is very important to increase the competitiveness, okay. In last class, I told about the example of why people are moving towards Android and Windows. Why not Unix and something? Why? Because it is a graphical user interface and it is very easy to use that particular, okay. Even a layman can use that particular Android cell phone. That much easy it is. So, the user can easily interact with that particular computer with the help of Android or Windows, okay. So, the competitiveness is going to increase with the via the study of human-computer interactions, okay. High cost e-transformation investments. Now, there is a trend of high cost e-transformations. Nothing but economic transformations. While you are either banking or purchasing the things or shopping, everything is going to be a high competition. And then if you go to the users lose time with badly designed products and services, the users are confusing if our screen is designed very bad. So, we have to be conscious while designing the screens. If you move on to users even give up using the bad interface. If the interface is that much bad, the user does not understand how to use it, then the users will lose their attention towards it. There may a chance of giving up using that particular interface. So, we should be conscious while designing that particular screen, okay. What are the, why HCI is important? Why? Because there is a user-centered design is getting a crucial role nowadays and there is a more importance of increasing competitiveness of HCI studies and high e-transformation investments. Nowadays, everything is getting E, nothing but everything is getting to be e-transformation, whether purchasing from clothes to purchasing of grocery, or you started from banking, okay, everything, either to recharge your phone or to get a milk packet from the grocery shop, okay, everything is going to be online. So, here the screens or how the user is going to be interact with that particular website, it is through screen. So, how the design of the screen would be to attract number of users. So, the importance of screen design is going to be very huge nowadays. And if you are going to the users lose time with badly designed products and services. If your screen is very badly designed, and then the users are not going to be interested towards your product. Okay. It totally depends upon how good your screen is, how easy it is to use that particular screen. Okay. This matters whether to attract your users towards your web or giving up to use your particular screen. Okay. There may be chance of user can give up using bad interfaces. Okay. Sometimes there is a chance that your screen is that much worstly designed, then the user is not able to use that, then the user will give up of using that one. Okay. That means you are going to be lose the customers because of your poor designing of interface. Okay. So, we should be conscious while designing the screens itself. Okay. And inefficient allocation of resources. While allocating resources, it should be efficient. We should allocate efficient resources. If you are allocated inefficient resources, then it will be again a problematic. Okay. So, yes, now defining the user interface. What do you mean by user interface? What is it? See, user interface design is a subset of the field of study called human-computer interaction. User interface is a part of design of your human-computer interaction. What is user interface? User interface design is a subset of the field of study of human-computer interaction. If a human is going to interact with the computer, here user interface, nothing but your screens. Whatever the user is interacting with the computer, here the mediator is a screen. Okay. By looking at a screen, we are going to see that. That is the part of the study of human-computer interaction. And if you move towards this, human-computer interaction is a study, planning and designing of how people and computers work together. Okay. Here, human-computer interaction is the study of planning, design of how the people and computer are working together so that the person's need are satisfied in the most efficient way. Okay. Here, what do you mean by human-computer interaction is, human-computer interaction is a study, planning and design. Okay, study, planning and design of what? Design of how people and computers work together. Okay, how the people and computers are working collaboratively. Okay, so that the person needs are satisfied. Whatever the user need, okay, the person who is going to use that computer has to be satisfied. Okay, in the most efficient, effective way. Okay, whether you are satisfied or not in an effective way, the human-computer interaction matters. Okay, human-computer interaction is the study, planning and design of how people and computer work together so that the person's needs are satisfied. Okay, here the needs of the user has to be satisfied in the most effective way. This is what called the design of user interface, defining a user interface. And if you move towards HCI, designers must consider the variety of factors. While designing the human-computer interface, the particular designers must consider a variety of factors. Okay, the factors that has to be considered by the designers. Here are those factors what people want and expect, physical limitations and abilities people possess. First, we have to consider the factor. One is what people wants, what people want and expect from the computer. Physical limitations and abilities of people possess. What are the physical limitations and abilities of that particular people who are going to use that computer, and what people wants and expecting from that particular computer. Here, while designing a HCI, the designer has to consider the points what people possess, what knowledge they are having and what they are expecting from that particular computer. Okay. And next point is how information processing systems work. Okay. Here the information processing system is nothing but your computer. How it works, whether it is working good or not. Okay. And what people find enjoyable and attractive. Okay. The people should find it should be enjoyable and attractive. Then only people can be attracted towards that screen. Otherwise, if that screen consists of some clumsy matter and some unattractive colors, then the people or users are not going to be attracted towards that particular screens. So, the designer has to be considered. The factors that the designer has to put in their minds is it should be enjoyable. The user has to be enjoyable and it should be attractive. The screen should be attractive and it should be enjoyable. Okay. And the technical characteristics and limitations of the computer hardware and software must also be considered. While designing the things, we have to consider the technical characteristics and limitations. Okay. What are the technical limitations and characteristics of that particular computer, either hardware or software must be considered. Okay. What are the technical limitations of both software and hardware has to be considered. See, the factors are, first we have to think what abilities that particular persons, nothing but the users having, and what they want and what they are expecting from the computer. And the second one is how information processing systems work. Okay, how the computers are going to be work. And third one, what people find enjoyable and attractive, whether that screens are enjoyable or attractive. And the final one is technical characteristics and limitations of computer, hardware and software must be considered. These are the different factors which we have to be considered while designing the user interface. And the user interface. Now see, what is the user interface? The part of the computer and its software that people can see, hear, touch, talk to and otherwise understand or direct. This is called user interface. What is the user interface? It is a part of the computer. User interface is a part of a computer and its software that people can see it. The people can see it and hear and touch, talk to or otherwise understand and direct. Okay. We are going to communicate with the computer with all our senses through user interface. Okay. That is called see, touch, hear and talk. Okay. These are called the senses. Just like a human, a computer is also having some senses that we can recognize through user interface. Okay. The user interface is the part of a computer and its software that people can see, hear, touch, talk or otherwise understand and direct. If you move, the user interface has essentially two components. One is input and the other one is output. We have two components. The user interface is having two components. One is input, other one is output. The input is how the people communicates his or her needs to the computer. How the user will communicate to the computer. Okay, that is called input. Whether the users are going to use the keypad for typing something, it is considered as input, or we are using some headphones or microphones to talk with the computer, it is also input. Whether you are sending some picture, that is also input. Okay, everything, whatever the data which is given by the user to the system is considered as the input. Okay, and some common inputs are keyboards, mouse, trackball, one's finger and one's voice. Okay, the data input is in different forms. Whether you are typing the data, you are going to use the keyboard, or you are selecting something or drawing something, you can use either mouse or trackball, or you can use by touch the finger. Okay, if the screen is touch screen, then you are using one's finger for touching that. So, it is also considered as your input of the computer and voice. Okay, just like you are Google something, it is once voice they can be recognized. Okay, once hello, if you say hello Google, then it will recognize your voice. Whatever you want to say, that can be understand your voice and it can be do the things accordingly. Okay, that is considered as one's voice. Okay, these are the different types of inputs which you are going to give to the computer. Whereas coming to the second part of your user interface. Okay, user interface having two parts. One is input and another component is output. Okay, whereas coming to the output is how the computer conveys, how the computer is going to convey the thing to the particular user. Okay, and the results of its computations and requirements to the user. Here the computer is going to give the output through computations. If I am asking something, I am typing something that is 100 plus 10. Okay, this is my input. The computer will understand the thing and it will do addition and it will give the output as 110. This will be the output. Okay, this is the output and whereas this is the input. Okay, I am giving this input to the screen and it is displaying this output to me. Okay, so how the computer conveys the result of the computation and requirements. Suppose I am going to search the things. Okay, whether that particular movie is there in that particular system or not, or my file. Okay, suppose my file name is file1, whether my file name is file1, I will type in the search bar as file1, whether the name of that file is available or not. Okay, if it is available, that it will send the requirements. Okay, this particular file is available here, it will send. Here my input is my file name and it is going to search that file and it is going to send the place, location where that file is going to be stored, where that file is already available, whether it is available or not. Okay, that is my requirement to the user. So, output is how the computer conveys the result, whether it is a computation or whether it is another requirement, how the computer is going to convey to that particular user. Okay, the results of computations and requirements to the user. Today, the most common computer output mechanisms is display screens. Display screens are the most commonly used output mechanisms, followed by the mechanism that take an advantage of person's auditory capability like voice and sound. Okay, the systems have the capability through sending their data, nothing but the answers can be given in the form of either sound or voice. Okay, so these are the most probably used outputs. Okay, we see the user interface has essentially two components. How many components? Two components. One is input and two is the output. Okay, input is nothing but how a person communicates to the computer and the requirements how to communicate with this computer. Okay, what are the components which we are using for giving input to the computer? And the second component is output. Okay. What do you mean by output? Output is how computer conveys the results to the of computations and requirements of the user. Okay. What are the components which are used? Here we are mostly using display screens as the output devices. Whereas the mechanism that take the advantage of personal auditory capabilities or voice and sound. Okay. Voice and sound are the different things which we are going to use. The use of human senses and of smell and touch output in interface design still remains largely unexplored. Okay. Here, as the two components of both input and output, the use of human senses of smell and touch output in the interface design still remains largely unexplored. Okay. Nowadays, the touch has been coming into existence from the last few years. The touch has been coming into existence where the smell is being a still remains the largely unexplored. Okay, the unexplored thing is even smell. Okay, just like people, the computer cannot smell the things. Okay, it can recognize through images or something. It can even sense the touch of that one, but the smell becomes unexplored. The poor interface design will provide a mix of well-designed input and output. Okay, proper interface design is provide a mix of well-designed input and output. To get a proper interface, it should be mixed up with both well-designed. It will be mixed up with well-designed both input and output. Okay. If you are well-designed input, there is no well-designed output, then also it does not come under well-designed interface. Okay. The two components, both input and output should be well-designed, then only we can say that the proper interface design, that the design is a proper interface design. And the mechanism that satisfy the user's needs. Okay. The design is very colorful and it is very attractive, but it is not satisfying the user's needs. Then it is of no use. Okay. So, the proper design must be well designed of both input and output. At the same time, the mechanisms, it should satisfy the mechanisms that satisfy the user's needs and their capabilities. Okay. It should satisfy user's needs and users' capabilities and limitations in most effective way. Okay, possibly in most effective way, then only it is called a proper interface design. So, what is a proper interface design? A proper interface design is well provide a mix of well designed input and output and the mechanisms that satisfy the user's needs. Okay, that satisfies the user's needs, capabilities and limitations in the effective way possible. And next, the best interface is the one that is not noticed, one that permits the user to focus on the information and task at hand. Okay, a best interface design is the one. Okay, we can say that the particular interface design is the best interface design whenever it is not noticed, that one that permits the user to focus on the information and task at hand. Okay, at the single stretch, we are concentrating on information at the same time whatever the task we are going to, then it is a best interface. And note the mechanisms used to present the interface and the performance of the task. Okay. The importance of the user interface. In importance of user interface, the interface and screens is terribly important to our users. Okay. The interface and the screens are very important to our users. It is their window to view the capabilities of the system. Okay. This screen acts as a window to see the capabilities of the system. Okay. The screen is poorly designed, then the users are not capable to see the capabilities of the computer. So, this interface or the screen, okay, the screen or the interface is terribly important to our users. It is their window. Okay, the user's window to see the capabilities is screen. Screen act as the intermediate between the computer and human. Okay, so this it is their window to view the capabilities of the system. And the benefits of the good design. What are the benefits of the good design? A poor clarity forces screen user to spend 1 extra second per screen. If you are using the screens, if the screen is poorly capable, then the user has to spend an extra second, okay, 1 extra second per screen. Almost 1 additional year would be required to process all screens. If there are some lakhs of screens, then it will be require 1 additional year in his total experience with using that particular screen. Okay. 1 second is not a small time. Okay. If you are working with some hundreds of screens per day, then that 1 second delay will added to each screen, then it will become some half an hour or 1 hour per day. Okay. It will slow down your work up to minutes and hours together. Okay. So, almost 1 additional year would be required to process all screens. 20 extra seconds in screen usage time adds one additional 14 personal years. Okay. In your career, if the screen requires 20 extra seconds to see that particular screen, then it requires 14 personal years. In your total lifetime, you are going to spend 14 extra years for working with that computer. Okay. So, the benefit of well-designed screen. Okay. These are the disadvantages. Okay. Your time is going to be slowed down. Okay. You are misusing your valuable time. Okay. If money is lost, we can end anytime. Okay. We can end afterwards. If the time is lost, it does not come back. We are not going to earn it. So, here the most valuable thing is time. So, the disadvantages of poor design are we are going to lose our valuable time to dealing with that particular screens. So, if you move on to the benefits of well-designed screens, have also been under experimental scrutiny for many years. One researcher, for example, attempted to improve screen clarity and readability by making screens less crowded. If the data is very less on the screen, then it will be very usable. Okay. And it is very clear and it is readable. Okay. Separate items which had been combined on the same display line to convert space were placed on separate lines instead. Okay. You can separate the things. So, unnecessarily clumsily you are not going to place all the things in a single line. You can separate the things line by line. Okay. It will make ease of this particular things. Proper formatting of information screens does not have a significant positive effect on performance. Okay. You have to proper format. The things has to be properly formatted. In recent years, the productivity benefits of well-designed web page also been scrutinized. Here nowadays, we are going to scrutinize the well-designed web pages. Okay, while you are launching something, you have to be considered. Okay, you have to take in consideration of well-designed web pages, whether not only you are considering about its performance and all, you have to consider the well-designed web pages too. Okay, we have to consider the web pages whether they are designed well or not, whether they are poorly designed or whether they are good designed. If we have to take care while launching our products, and the training cost and lowered because the training time is reduced. Why? Because why we have to spend that much time on scrutinizing the well-designed web pages means if our workers, okay, the people who are going to work with particular system or working with particular project, they have to spend much of the time with the screens if they are poorly designed, and it requires the training cost, okay. If it is good design, the training cost will be lower. If it is a poorly designed, then the training cost will be higher. They have to spend so much of amount for training those things, training of using that particular screens. So, training cost will be lowered because the training time is going to be reduced. If the screen is designed well, then the training time will be reduced, okay. It is directly proportional to reduce in training cost, okay. The training cost and training time are directly proportional to each other. If it is a rise in something, if it is training time is increased, then training cost also increased, okay. So, the good design will decrease the cost of the training, at the same time training time has been reduced. And if you move on to the second one, the support line cost also lowered, okay. If the things are clumsy and not understand, then we need some support from others, okay. That support line cost also lowered because few assistant calls are required, okay. We are not spending that much time with the support team, so it cost also, support line cost is have been reduced because of good design. If it is bad design, that support cost also increased, and employee satisfaction is increased because of aggravation and frustration are reduced, okay. The screens are badly designed, then the people who are going to work with that particular computers has been frustrated, okay. So, this employee satisfaction, if it is the screen is good design, then that employee satisfaction is also increased because that frustration has been reduced, aggregation and frustration has been reduced, and ultimately that an organization customer benefit because of improved service they receive, okay. Because the organization customer benefits because customers benefit because the improved service they receive, okay. These are the benefits of good design. And identify and resolving the problems during the design and development problems also has the significant economic benefit. You have to identify and resolve the problems during design of the things and development process, also a significant economic benefit, okay. If the product is launched, after that we are not going to do anything. So, before that itself, we have to take considered and identify, we have to resolve the problems of design and development, okay. Coming to the last one, how many screens are used each day in our technology world? We have to consider how many screens we are going to use in this particular technological world, okay. How many screens are used each day in our organization? Either thousands or millions, okay. So, if the screen is poorly designed, then we have to spend these much 1000 seconds or millions of the seconds for resolving the things, okay. If the screen is well designed or good designed, then we are going to save this much of time. Next, going to imagine the possible saving, and proper screen designs might also, of course, lower the cost of replacing unbroken pieces. If the particular customer has been frustrated, then he is going to break the screens or breaking the pieces that has been lowered because of the possible savings, okay. It has been a saving for that particular organization.